Hey everybody, today I'm taking a look at 3 party games which have been kindly provided to me by the publisher Picky, who are a small kind of gifts company in Britain. So we have 3 games here. We have Recollect, we have What the Actual Factual, and we have Doppelganger. Now they're all pretty simple, so I'll take a quick look through them and show you how they play. But before I do, I want to give a shout out to the show sponsor Kienda.co.uk, who are my go-to online retailer here in the UK. And if you use my link in the show notes or the QR code, then you can get 5% off your first order. But let's get on with the reviews for these games. Okay, so the first game I'm taking a look at here is Recollect. So Recollect is pretty much a pure memory challenge game, as the box suggests here. And in the box, you're going to get a sound timer, which is 10 minutes, which is going to be the whole duration of the game. You're going to get these brain tokens, and you're also going to get these memory cards here. Now, at the start of the game, you're going to put out 5 of these memory cards, which are going to depict different items. Like we've got the knife here, we've got the little wine flute and so on. And you're going to get 15 seconds to have a look at those items and try to memorize them. And once that time has elapsed, you're going to flip them all face down, and then the game is going to begin. So you can probably imagine how this game is going to go, where the first player is going to challenge the second player to try and recollect one of these items correctly. So maybe they would say, player 2, you need to try guess what this item is. And if they say knife, they would have a look at it. They're correct. If they guessed correctly, they'll get the brain token. If they guessed incorrectly, then the player who challenged them to get it correct would gain the brain token. And that's essentially how the game is going to play. However, at the end of each challenge, of course, this one's going to get flipped face down again, but you're also going to add a new brain token to the row to make the game even more challenging. And then you're going to get 5 seconds to have a look at this item here. And then you're going to flip it face down and carry on. So as the game progresses, it's going to get more and more difficult. And to be honest, memory games aren't normally my forte. I've not got the best memory in the world. However, I think because this game is so different to anything we'd normally play, we actually ended up having quite a good time with this one. And I think, although the rules that provided with the base game are so simple and, almost predictable, you have a good bunch of cards here to make your own memory games with. If you have kids or anything like that, these images are really good, and they're a good tool to kind of create variants on the game, as we did. We played a whole game of the basic version, but at the end, when we had the whole table full of these brains, then we tried to up the ante and give more points by trying to guess the whole final arrangement and stuff like that. So very simple. There are a few little rules, almost not errors, but gaps in the rules, where technically if you go ahead in the rules by getting a few challenges right, you're ahead of all the other players. If it's your turn and then ultimately your turn to challenge somebody, there is no rule to say you can only take this amount of time to guess. So technically you could just sit there draining the time and using that to your advantage and try to win that way. Now, I know this is a silly party game, nobody's really going to do that, but it's a shame that it wasn't in the rule book just to stop that that wastage of time. But again, if you like memory games, this one is not a bad option. The physical components are, although I think they look great, the card quality, or almost like paper quality of the cards themselves, isn't quite up to scratch. But it's an affordable product, and I understand this, and this applies to all these games. These aren't really hobby space games. They're more of a mass market, almost novelty Christmas gift kind of thing you're looking at here. But, way better than I thought it was going to be, and it landed pretty well with my game group, considering this is completely out of our, almost our comfort zone, I suppose. So that is Recollect. The next one I'm taking a look at here is Doppelganger, which I think is definitely the easiest, most chilled out of the 3 games. So this is a game where you're trying to match your friends and family to these famous or infamous people. And the game is going to come with a big deck of these celebrity cards. You're going to have a score sheet here with the rules on the reverse side. And the objective of the game is to try and get to this amount of points. And you're also going to get some of these blank answer cards and a few dry erase pens. So all you're going to do in this game, and it could not be more simple, is you're going to reveal the top card from this stack of celebrities. And these are all uber famous people, and I'll be very surprised if you didn't know everybody in the deck. So that creates a lot more accessibility. So anybody can join in and play this one, from young children up to some very elderly relatives, if you want to play this at like a Christmas or something like that. But when you reveal this card, everybody is going to secretly write on their answer sheet here who they think out of their friends playing the game is the most like this celebrity. And that can be for any number of reasons. Like, for example, King Henry VIII here. It could be, who's got the best beard, who's the fattest, who's had the most girlfriends, who's more into, English history. It could be anything like that. So it's quite nice you have that freedom to choose why you're selecting a certain friend. And once everybody has locked in their answer, you're going to simultaneously reveal all your answers at the same time. And then whoever's voted with the majority, you are going to get points. So it has this kind of herd mentality mechanism where you want to be, following the crowd, I suppose. Then anybody who's guessed with that majority are going to get a victory point, and everybody who's guessed one other person who hasn't shared a guess with anybody else, or if you're the only person to vote for somebody, then you're going to lose a point. However, there's also this additional twist where if you are the only person to vote for yourself, and you can't do that, and you're going to lose 2 victory points. So I thought that was quite a cool touch where, if you maybe are a bit disillusioned on how you view yourself compared to how your friends view you, you're going to lose more points just because of the cringe. But yeah, that's essentially the scope of the game. And you know what? Going into this game, I thought it was going to be an absolute disaster because, again, this is completely out of my remit. I don't normally play games like this. But it actually was another game that landed pretty damn well, because if you choose to play this game in a certain way, then you can actually create quite some cool conversations, and you can learn what your friends think about you, and it's a good conversational piece. And while I like that side of the game, that does create almost a double-edged sword, I suppose, because as you start playing more and more, you'll start to understand why people are starting to vote for certain people, and then you can just kind of follow the bandwagon and then almost always get the answer right. So although it creates a lot more interest if you discuss why you vote for people, it also can lead people down certain paths, and you can almost like manipulate them to voting a certain way. But again, I am being hypercritical here. This is such a light game, and it's probably one of those games you're going to play on one occasion anyway, or maybe 2 occasions until you get through all these the whole deck of cards. But as I said, it worked pretty damn well, and again, so accessible. This is a true game that anybody can play, and it was way better than I thought it was going to be. So that is Doppelganger. And the final one I'm taking a look at is What the Actual Factual. So this is one of those games where you are trying to think of an answer to quite an obscure question and try to convince your friends that your answer is the correct one. Now the game is going to come with a big bunch of these question cards with the actual answers on them. You're going to get this answer shield. You're going to get some of these voting markers, which you're going to use to, of course, vote for the answer that you think is correct. Another score sheet and dry erase pen, as well as some of these kind of blank dummy cards to show that you didn't know the answer and you're one of the bluffing players. Now, another one where the game could not be more simple. You're going to take the next answer card here. You're going to put it in the shield, like so. Then you're going to flip it over and read the question out so everybody else can see it. So this one says, Peppa Pig was banned in Australia because... And then what you're going to do is you're going to flip that card back face down, and then you're going to shuffle it in with some of these fake answer cards and then distribute them out to all the other players so that only one person obviously knows the correct answer. Then everybody has 30 seconds to think of a fake answer, if they have one of these fake answer cards, of course. And then in round robin, you are going to give your fake answer. And then once everybody's done that, you're going to use your voting marker to align it to who you think has told the truth or who you think's answer is the correct one. And then at the end of the round, whoever has voted for the correct answer is going to get a point. But also whoever has had answers distributed to them by the other players, like for example, if I thought of a really good fake answer and everybody thought I was telling the truth, then I'm going to get a point for each one of them as well. So you have that 2 kind of factor way of getting points. So that's as simple as the game is. There are a lot of games that do this kind of thing. There's some big ones out there, particularly if you're familiar with like the Jackbox series of digital games or games like Boulder Dash. So this one is definitely down that alley, the same kind of thing as you'd probably expect. But the thing I like about this game is that the question cards are all actually pretty damn interesting. So I thought that was kind of the make or break thing about this game, was that the questions were either going to be extremely generic and not really interesting to think of the answer anyway, or they're actually going to be quite interesting bits of information, because we found ourselves playing this one just to find out what the answers actually were, because again, the questions were quite interesting. Like this one, for example, Peppa Pig was banned in Australia because it taught children not to be afraid of spiders, which I thought was a really interesting little fact there. Now, I will say that it's quite a hard line to, to draw these or to write up these question cards or to research these question cards, because they're either going to be so obscure to the point where they're probably not very interesting, and nobody's going to know the answer, or they're going to be interesting enough that somebody might just happen to know it, and therefore there will be duplicates of the correct answer, which could create problems when it comes to the voting. So I don't think there was even a way to, in the rulebook, that stipulates what happens if somebody did actually know the answer. I could be wrong on that, but it was something that we did actually know a few of the answers that came up here. But yeah, it works. It's simple as it sounds, nice and fun. Again, some interesting facts there. Maybe a few too many points needed to conclude the round, but that can easily be house ruled. And I thought it was good. Another game that does what it's supposed to do, and it's a solid party game that's relatively affordable. So that is What the Actual Factual. So there we have it. Those are the 3 games. Certainly nothing revolutionary here when it comes to the party game genre. However, they all do what they're supposed to do, and they do it pretty damn well. And we had a good time playing each of them, despite my initial apprehension, I suppose. Certainly nothing that's going to have an immense amount of replayability. You're probably going to play this on 1 or 2 occasions, but sometimes that's all you need to do. Perfect for an occasion like Christmas or something like that, and makes a good like a stocking stuffer or a Secret Santa gift. And again, I think you're going to have a good time that's accessible to the whole family on those occasions. So there we go. I'll leave the link in the show notes to the Picky website. If these games do interest you, I've not been paid or anything to make this review, but I was provided these games, without cost. So I said I'd cover them, and I have done that, and they're all way better than I thought they were going to be. So there we have it. That is the Picky Party Game Collection. Bye bye.